Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. I'm Nick Park, and I was sharing in yesterday's Take 5 how together with my wife Janice we ended up in Rome last month. And Rome's a great city. You know, if you get the chance to visit Rome, I heartily encourage you to do so. Some people they go for a day, you know, they go on an excursion from a cruise ship or something and then end up trying to see Rome in a day. There's so much in Rome, it would take you probably weeks to see all the things that are worth seeing. And now we've been in the past. We've already been to the Colosseum. We've been to some of the major sites. You know, the Trevi Fountain and the Spanish Steps and all those kind of things. But by the way, the Mamertine prison. If you ever get to go to Rome, visit the Mamertine prison. It truly is amazing. It's the prison where we believe that the Apostle Paul and the Apostle Peter were both held there before their executions. But one thing that we'd never really explored was the Roman Forum, because anytime we've been there, it's been far too hot and it's quite exposed, you know, the sun beating down on you. And when we've been there in summer, it's just far too hot to walk around that forum, even though there's all these incredible buildings and remnants and ruins of building still standing there. So anyway, this time it was a little bit cooler, so we were able to walk around it, and we spent 2 or 3 hours wandering around the old Roman Forum, which was the very center of the Roman Empire. And of course, for that reason, there are many very important buildings that played such a major role, and everybody gets their pictures taken with these buildings that were central to the working of the Roman Empire. At one point, we climbed up the Palatine Hill, which is a part of the Forum, and that's where a lot of the palaces were. That's why it's called the Palatine Hill. And at one point, we're overlooking what are just some ruins of basically a few foundation stones and nothing left. Everyone was walking past, giving it a quick look. Nothing here to see here. And I said to Janice, I got to get a selfie here. Like, got to get a photograph taken here. And people were sort of looking at us, thinking, what's that guy getting his picture taken with those few scattered stones there? What's that all about? Well, the reason was that this is all that remains of the palace of Domitian. And Domitian was a Roman emperor. He's not one of the well-known ones. I mean, you don't remember his name like you remember Augustus or Julius Caesar or even Constantine or somebody like that. But Domitian was the Roman emperor from AD 81 until 96, and he was the younger brother of Titus. Titus was the emperor who basically destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. Well, both Domitian and Titus they were the sons of Vespasian. And according to Eusebius, who was the first real church historian, Domitian was a savage persecutor of Christians. In fact, many Christians would believe that he was the worst of all the emperors, that Domitian was the worst when it came to persecuting Christians. Now, some people have cast doubt on that, some historians since, but there's no doubt Domitian was no friend of the Christian church. Irenaeus, another prominent church father, he seems to suggest that it was Domitian was the emperor who exiled the Apostle John to the Isle of Patmos, where he wrote the book of Revelation. And many commentators and Bible scholars on the book of Revelation have argued that because of this, Domitian was considered as the absolute peak of evil by the Apostle John, and that the mark of the beast, 666, actually referred to Domitian. That's one viewpoint. I mean, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of viewpoints of what 666 actually stands for and who it applies to as the mark of the beast. But nevertheless, Domitian, as we said, was no friend of the Christian church and was certainly a persecutor of Christians. And the reason why I wanted my photograph taken with the remnants of the very feeble remnants left of his palace was that here was a guy who wanted to stamp out the Christian church, and today his own palace, a few stones on the ground, are all that remains of it. And yet this church that he tried to stamp out over 2,000 years later, this church is still around the world. This church has hundreds of millions, billions of adherents. This church has had an influence in history and will continue to have an influence, because even when the name of Domitian is no longer remembered at all, and when those few stones off his palace have crumbled and are nothing but dust, the Church of Jesus Christ will still stand triumphant as a testimony to God's grace for all of eternity. So Christians, don't get downhearted because sometimes the wicked seem to prosper. Don't get downhearted because those in authority might look down on you because of your faith. You are the one who really has what is important, and you will be vindicated in Jesus' name. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.